Hi, and welcome to the 50 Shades of Blonde show. I'm Missy Day.
Jill Branson.
And so I'm going to try and not act like a 12-year-old fangirl and like get all crazy. I can't promise anything. But if you follow me on Facebook, you've probably seen, I don't know, a couple of posts of Fred and I being at table 34, like, 3 times a week or something like that. So we are thrilled to have the chef Wes Kendrick from Table 34 on our show.
exciting.
Thank you for
Thrilled
coming.
to be here,
you.
Missy. Great to see you, Jill.
Nice
So
to
awesome
see
to have you
you
here. And can I look at this right here?
And another
Yes.
aroma.
Smells so yummy.
We brought in a few goodies, some of our favorites,
So tell us what deliciousness we have in front of us.
Well, we brought in everybody's favorites. So over there we have the Scottish salmon. We have our house mac and cheese in front of that. And these are our baby back ribs. They're hard cider molasses glaze. They're slow braised. They fall right off the bone. You don't have to pick them up. They're fork friendly is what we call them. And then we brought in some of our favorites on the dessert platter over here. So we have the cheesecake, the peanut butter pie, the lime tart, and the chocolate decadence. These are just the standards that everybody's go-to dessert is.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and we've got lots of other fun stuff on the menu, as you know, Missy.
Yeah,
So.
I'll just sit here and recite the menu to you, actually. So when you started, so it was Wild Sage.
It was the Wild Sage Cafe, and that was November of '99 we opened.
Yeah,
So-
and it was, and I think I've shared this with you before. So we got, we're just like obsessed with Wild Sage, and then one day we went there for dinner, and it wasn't there, and I was devastated, and I thought, oh, this isn't good. And then somebody asked me, they said, hey, have you been to Table 34? And they said, Chef Wes Kendrick is there. And I was like, I told Fred, we're going right now.
Yeah, we did the Wild Sage for about 4 years, and that corporation kind of just dissolved. And then we restructured, reopened about 10 months later as Table 34 in the same location on Warm Springs Road in the McCarran Business Center there. We're just a little bit west of Paradise, the 215 overpass there.
Very easy to get there.
Yeah, it is. It's very convenient, and we're close proximity to the airport. Easy to get to the Smith Center. I mean, it's a great little center location.
It's a great location. And I have to say, there's so much more to your restaurant than just the food. I mean, your staff is awesome. And it's nice seeing the same people. And like Tony and Janina are like unbelievably friendly and so great to us. But the ambiance, there's I don't know how to even explain it. There's something about that restaurant that just makes you feel homey, warm, and cozy.
Exactly.
We want you to feel comfortable in the dining room. I always hate going to a restaurant where you feel stiff and
not like that
you
at
almost
all.
feel out of place when you sit down.
Right.
I want it to feel more like your living room, and my staff certainly makes that happen, and we appreciate all of them. Believe me, because they're the best.
Yeah, they
And
work hard.
They do work very hard, and they've stuck around a very long time, and they treat the business like it's theirs. So I can't ask for anything more, really. They've been just fantastic.
And another cool thing is, when we go, seeing the same people. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a huge following of people that love you.
We do, and any night of the week, more than half my room is regulars that I see quite often, like yourself. So, yeah.
And then Jill went. She had never been before, and so now she's been several
Yeah.
times.
I have, and I have to tell you, it's the same feeling that she gets. It's
We
just,
love that about you, Jill.
and everybody's so friendly. I mean, they greet you at the door, and it's like an Italian mama saying, "Come on in, you gotta come in and eat," and it's just a wonderful feeling.
Well, that's very nice to hear, because we certainly try, and the
Yeah.
staff really pays attention to the details, and I think that goes a long way. So many people just don't anymore, and they just see
They just numbers.
another person
Yeah.
coming in, or numbers, or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. But we try and get to know our guests, and we like that, and they like that about us, and remember their names, and it goes a long way.
That's right.
That's
Very true.
You can't get better customer service than that, because as we know, you go to a lot of places and you could be there 2 days before and they don't remember who you are,
no, exactly.
you know.
A lot of places you have to go, 5 or 6 times before they remember you
Right.
because you're seeing a different staff member
Exactly.
every time.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So we try and keep a tight-knit staff and keep our servers the same at dinner, and then our servers at lunch are try to keep them all stable so our lunch guests get to know their servers, and then our dinner guests get to know the
Well,
other servers. And
In the restaurant business, for any restaurant owner to keep and have the same people for a length of time is pretty incredible. And that says a lot about you.
yeah, we just try and we treat everybody fairly and just try and keep everybody's needs in mind to a certain point, and just make it a pleasant work environment. And I don't want the stress of not having it that way.
Right.
And I always said I'm not going to die of a heart attack in a kitchen over stressful stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Well, you're doing a great job so far.
Yeah, we've been there quite a while, and it's all due, to our guests for a large part of it, and then our staff and everybody's dedication to, keeping that core value there and the quality. The quality is the number one core value, and that turns into quality guests. So.
And do your creative juices go a lot about, what can I do now? What kind of new?
Yeah, of course, you think about new items, and you try things, and you see what works and what doesn't work. And, it's funny, a lot of times you have something that works great as a special, and you put it on the menu, and it doesn't work so well.
Work, yeah.
And then other things that, fall off the menu after a period of time. I still have everybody asking me about the meatloaf. What happened to the meatloaf? Well,
Yeah.
meatloaf stopped selling a number of years ago, so it's very labor intensive, and we just kind of let it drop off. It had a long life.
Let's talk about the veal mezzaluna pasta, shall we?
Okay, let's.
So what brilliant mind came up with that dish?
Well, I don't know how brilliant I am, but that's my variation on a very classic Italian dish. I do it a little different than most Italian chefs would. For the most part, when you order a veal mezzaluna at an Italian restaurant, it'll probably be ground veal, incorporated with some mushroom and whatnot. I decided to try and take it to a different level, so we actually braise the veal much like you would do an ossobuco. And we make our own pasta, and we season the veal once it's cooled, and we can manipulate it into the ravioli. And I like to think of it more as a little pillow of ossobuco, so when you bite into that ravioli, it's a real bold veal flavor. And then we use the king trumpet mushrooms and slice them thin. We do a sherry wine demi-glaze, and we add a little cream to that, and then we finish it with shaved Asiago, and it's just, in my opinion, it doesn't get much better. I think it's awesome.
heavenly. I have to tell you.
It's just,
Heavenly.
yeah.
That started as a special
It did,
and actually got placed then on the menu.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. You have to go and get it. It's so yummy. But then, on the other hand, so this is the thing about us. So we go and I look at the menu and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm getting. And then they'll come and say, okay, this is the specials. And then it's just like, okay, fine. If it's halibut, halibut wins every time. You have the best halibut I've ever had.
Well, we're very particular about our seafood. I bring it in every day, so I'm constantly talking to my vendor and finding out what's coming in and what's in season. The California halibut right now has been just spectacular. The waters have been cold enough that the fish is just fantastic, easy to work with, delicious, and it's really a flawless dish. Other times of the year where you get exposed to different items, and we always keep up on the freshest seafood. So I bring in all my seafood daily. So oysters came in that morning, the fish special came in that morning. The salmon is my most popular dish. I can't keep that in the house, so that comes in every single day. And I literally over the last couple of weeks I could not order enough of this fish. It was just flying out the door.
And where
so.
do you get the Bronzino from? Because that's really good too.
The Bronzino's coming out of Greece. So it's a Mediterranean sea bass. The French call it loup de mer. The Italians call it Bronzino. And it's just a very light, flaky, delicate whitefish. Very
So
neutral. You can do just about anything with it.
So let's talk about the clams. When are they coming back?
Oh, you're talking about the Ipswich
Ipswich,
clam
yes.
strips. I really don't have an answer for you there. I've been hounding 2 or 3 of my brokers weekly, and the story I've been getting is just the production's not there, and they don't make it this far west. They're
Wow.
producing all that they can, and most of it's consumed in like New Jersey and New York and Boston, and by the time someone in our market wants it, they want 250-pound minimum, or they're not going to ship.
Right.
So I'm not a huge restaurant, so for a guy who was buying 20 pounds of it, and I don't have the room to store it, so it's
Right.
like it just hasn't been happening lately. But I've heard stories that as we get into summer, the production will be back up because the weather will be a lot better.
Awesome.
So
Huh.
It's so good. You have to go and try those when they're in.
Yeah.
And the halibut too. Is halibut in right now?
yes, halibut's running, and it's just subject to availability. I ask about the fish, like I say, every day.
Right.
So depending on shipments and availabilities is what I get, because I want it to be that fresh. So I've been starting to get some stuff out of Hawaii. We've ran the blue marlin fairly often lately.
Really?
It's been difficult to get swordfish, but the halibut's been pretty strong. I had that last week. So we're kind of just going with what we can get the best of, really.
So where does your passion for cooking come from?
I just love working with fresh ingredients and making something, really cool out of them. So I'm also very particular about my produce, and we use a specialty company out of Van Nuys called Melissa's Produce, and they're able to get just about anything in the world, and it's always very fresh, top quality stuff. So I also bring in produce every day, and right now we're getting back into the season. We should start seeing some heirloom tomatoes coming back in. There's been a lot of different varietals of fruits and vegetables that are in transition right now,
Right.
but it's a lot of fun, especially in the spring and summer. We get a lot of really cool, fun, fresh stuff.
So we have to talk for Alicia Mejia. So we're going to talk about this just for you. Your Reuben sandwich
The Reuben. Yes.
That's my one of my favorite things that you have there.
It seems to be almost everybody's favorite at lunch. And we do our own brisket. So I buy certified Angus beef brisket, and we do our own corned beef. Once it's cool the next day, we clean it and slice it just as thin as possible to keep it very thin, but not to the point where it falls apart or scrambles. And it's just piled high on the seeded rye bread with Swiss cheese, homemade Thousand Island dressing, and you can't forget the sauerkraut.
I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah,
good.
it is. We call it the Rockstar Reuben. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and a name well deserved. And then so last year, this creative genius came up with mac and cheese with the corned beef and the sauerkraut in it. That was killer.
Wow.
It was, when I was playing around with it, I was like, is this going to work or is this not going to work? But we did a Reuben mac and cheese for St. Patrick's Day. And I made a bechamel with the Irish white cheddar and Swiss incorporated into that. And I left the corned beef kind of chunky, like dice size. And then we incorporated all that in with the macaroni, and you already had your cheese and everything. And when we put that in the crock and baked it, I just topped it with a little sauerkraut. And then I did the seeded rye toast on the side with the Thousand Island spread on the toast. So it turned out really kind of fun, and actually, to be honest with you, much better than I thought it would.
It was so good. Alicia and I were there, and we ordered it. And when it came, we looked at it, and then we took a bite, and both of us said, "Don't talk. Let's not ruin it. Let's just eat."
Well, the lobster mac and cheese you can't go wrong with either.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and I have a customer that claims that's its own food group. And you can't put it in any other food group. The Maine lobster and fresh asparagus.
Do you ever do cooking classes? Because I
You
love
know-
listening to you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've done a couple. I did a large event over at UNLV with the students there, and that was a lot of fun. And it was their whole culinary department. So we had managers and then organizers in front of the house and back of the house, and they assigned all the students different levels of priority. And I worked with about 14 kids in the kitchen, and
Fun.
we put together I believe it was a 4-course meal, and it was a lot of fun, start to finish. And they did very well. It was a lot of fun. They were pretty impressive, so I felt hopeful about the future of the culinary arts there. And I've done a couple. When we were Wild Sage, I did a couple like at Williams Sonoma and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm locked in at Table
Yeah.
34. I just don't have a lot of free time to go do that kind of fun stuff. When I get the opportunity, I do. It's it's fun.
And you guys are doing catering now, right?
Not a lot. We're doing some office catering and a few things for friends and family and that type of stuff. But full-on staffed catering, no. Most of it's either a delivery or a pickup. It might be a drop-in set or something like that. But my staff is so small that I keep the core staff, and above and beyond that, catering turns into a whole different animal.
Yeah,
You're running two
right.
restaurants at the same time, basically. And everybody wants to party on the same night. So
Right.
we've kind of limited it,
Good point.
But in our business park there, we do a lot of office catering and stuff like that.
Awesome. So tell everybody that's viewing, so where is Table 34?
Table 34 is on Warm Springs Road between Las Vegas Boulevard and Paradise. So we're just west of the 215, and we're on the direct corner of Warm Springs and Amigo, 600 East Warm Springs. Can't miss it. Big red sign, like a stop sign. Let's see here.
There you go.
Right there. And you can always call us at the restaurant, 702-263-0034.
So I'm going to put you on the spot because I forgot to
Uh-oh.
talk to you about this before the show. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So if somebody comes in, like that's say for the month of April, and say that they saw you on 50 Shades of Blonde, do you have like a little goodie you can give them?
Yeah. Let's do a free appetizer or a free dessert on the house.
You heard it here
Wow.
first, folks. If you go to Table 34, tell them that you saw Chef Wes on 50 Shades, you can get a free appetizer or a free dessert.
Is that awesome or what?
That's pretty awesome.
I want to be first.
Come on in. We're waiting on you, Jill.
I was going to say we could go tonight, but they're closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're closed Monday night, and we're dark all day Sunday. We're dark as well. So lunch is Monday through Friday, and then dinner is kind of an offset schedule Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
my pleasure,
It's
really.
been
That's
awesome.
great.
And I think this is the first time I've ever seen you without a hat.
yeah, everybody busts on me for wearing a ball cap, and I generally don't. But the health department, they're pretty hardcore about that. Better have hair restraint.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for tuning into this segment. Go and check out Table 34. You will not be disappointed. And we will see you all next month on 50 Shades of Blonde.